Okay, congratulations. You just won a $10,000 reward. Well, maybe you didn't, but let's say you had. Let's say if you had that much money to invest and you had a couple of options. Well, you want to make sure that you put it into a savings account that's going to give you the most money back as far as your interest is concerned. So, let's say if you had two banks to choose from, one that offered 4.2% compounded quarterly and another one that was offering 4.15% compounding daily. Well, you might think, wow, 4.2%, that's more than 4.15%, so that would be a better deal. Or someone else may look at this and say, well, this is being compounded daily, so that's going to be a better deal. Well, that's why we have this idea of APY, or annual percentage yield. Whoops. What the annual percentage yield does is it helps us see which is going to be a better interest rate. Because if you have $10,000 and you're going to invest it, or you're going to put it into a savings account, I should say, you know that you're going to be earning interest, and in the long run, over the course of a year, it's going to be worth more at the end of that year than it was at the beginning. And each of these, obviously, would be a good situation, but we want to know which one would be better. Well, the annual percentage yield, what that does is that tells us what the actual annual percentage yield, what the annual percentage rate would be if it's compounded quarterly, if it's compounded daily, because it's going to be more than that percentage that they advertise. So this 4.2%, let's look at this one. The way that we find APY is we're going to use $1 for your principal, we're going to use your time as 1 year, and we're going to take our answer, because we're going to end up with a decimal, we're going to round our answer to 4 numbers past the decimal so we can make a better comparison. So let's look at this particular example. So it doesn't matter. So the fact that you have $10,000 right now sitting waiting to be invested, that doesn't matter when we're trying to find the APY. We're always going to have, and we're always going to use $1 as your principal just to keep things simple. Because when we're using that same formula, the A meaning your total amount, not your APY, but your total amount is equal to your principal times 1 plus R over N to the N times T as your exponent. So if your principal is $1, you can put that down if you want, but remember, multiplying by 1, it's going to stay the same. So that's why we're using 1 to keep it simple. And then in parentheses, we're going to have 1 plus our rate. Remember, our rate in this case would be 0.042. Compounding quarterly means that it's going to happen 4 times over the course of the year. So it'll be 4 times 1, or just 4 is your exponent. So let's compute this to see what we would end up having here. So it would be, again, you can put the 1 outside the parentheses, but you don't have to. It would be 1 plus 0.042 divided by, it's being compounded quarterly, so 4 to the 4th power. Now when you hit enter, what we get is we get 1.042, we'll round that to 1.0427. Remember, we're going to round it to 4 numbers after the decimal. So you always look to the right what we're going to round to see if it stays the same or we round up. So in this case, we round it up to a 7. So 1.0427. Now, annual percentage yield is always a percent. Okay? Key there being percentage. So 1.0427 is not our answer. Now, there's a couple ways you could look at this. That 1 that's in front here represents that dollar that we invested originally. Remember, we're using P, our principal, as 1. So that 1 doesn't represent anything that we've earned, that we've yielded. The 0.0427, what that represents is the fact that for every dollar we invest, we're going to earn about 4.27 cents on each dollar. So in this situation, we want to look at this as a percent, so we're going to forget that 1, and we're going to say that our APY here would be 4.27%. So if you have a situation where it's 4.2% compounded quarterly, oops, yeah, that's right, sorry about that. If it's 4.2% compounded quarterly, that's equivalent to 4.27% compounded annually. So that's why we call that the annual percentage yield. Now let's compare that now to a situation that would be compounding daily, a little less of a percent by 0.05%. But let's see how this compares as for the annual percentage yield if it's compounding daily, because boy, that sounds good. If I had $10,000 to invest, to have it being, the interest being compounded daily, sounds like it'd be a good deal. But let's find out how good of a deal. This will be 0.0415. It's compounding daily. It's going to be 365 days. So 365 times 1, granted, is just going to be 365. And again, your principal is $1 or $1. So let's see what this is going to be. This will be 0.0415. So it'll be 1 plus, oops, forgot my parentheses. Parentheses 1 plus 0.0415 divided by 365. Parentheses being raised to the 365th power. We do that, we round this to 1.0424. So you can see that even though it's compounding daily, it changes to the percent. We would get 4.24%. So granted, that is more than 4.15%, but when I compare that over the course of a year, it'd still be a better way to go the 4.2% compounding quarterly by 0.03%. And if I have $10,000 to invest, that 0.03% is going to make a slight difference. So that's how we find APY, and that's how we use it, is to compare different interest rates to see which is the better deal. So again, the main idea here, we use our original formula that we talked about in the previous video for general compound interest. We use our principal as $1, and our time is also going to be $1. Round your answer to the 4 numbers past the decimal, and then drop the $1 like we did here, and then change the remaining to a percent. So it'll be 4.27% for this first one versus 4.24% for the other one. Hopefully you have a better idea now of how to use and apply annual percentage yield, and good luck on your assignment.